Welcome back, YouTube. Welcome back, world, because this is a hot one. This is for everybody. Renaissance back with G and J. What's up, Jay?
Another hot topic, man. Seems to be on everybody's front page right now, despite Kamala Harris being selected and everything else going on in the world. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, let's get to it, man. This is about WAP, the song that just came out last Friday, the 7th, from Cardi B and Megan the Stallion. Right now, I think it's sitting at number 6 on the Billboard charts. WAP, what is WAP? It's a song about having sex from women's perspective and the way they want to talk about it, whether it's jovial, whether it's from a defense standpoint. It doesn't matter really what it is. It's about sex at the end of the day. And they are expressing themselves. So why are we talking about it? Well, we're talking about it because of society's reaction. I watched Joe Budden podcast. I watched Ebro in the Morning, Hot 97, watched their show. I watched The Breakfast Club talk about it. And their responses really didn't trouble me. They said, you know, they're women. They can make a song. We're going to analyze the song, see if the lyrics are hot or not. We're going to analyze the video, see if the visuals and, you know, the metaphors and all these other things are you know, valid or they look good, if the song is going to sell. Okay, that's basic music talk. But a lot of them opened up their airwaves to, you know, viewers and listeners. I've seen a lot of comments on my Facebook, on my Instagram by some men that I guess I respected, or I respected their opinions about other things. And for the most part, it was all negative. They were saying that these women should not be saying these things. They should not be promoting these things. This song should not be played. The first thing that came to mind is all the songs I listened to growing up where men were doing the same thing, if not worse. A lot of songs. I remember Big Pimpin'. I remember so many Luke songs. I remember, recent songs. I remember recent songs.
Trying to take my shine, bro.
I remember so many songs. I remember so many songs where men got to talk about what they were going to do to girls, what girls should be doing to them in order to be, you know, wifed up or even considered commodities to men. And Jay, you actually listened to somebody else's show that went into more detail about that. Who was that?
Yeah, you know, as soon as I heard the song, I knew that there was going to be discussions about it. I just didn't know that there was going to be backlash. I knew that there was going to be like reaction videos and everybody's going to start to have discussions and who was in video, especially with it being, excuse me, after the Megan Thee Stallion shooting incident. You know what I mean? This is the first thing. This is the first thing that she's come out with after that particular incident, and then, you know, Kylie Jenner being in the video and all of that fiasco, right? And cancel culture, blase, blase. But the one that stuck out the most and the person that had the biggest voice that was in my feed or that I got to was Roland Martin on his show. Right. And I was actually pleasantly surprised with his viewpoint, because usually he's pretty conservative on a lot of things. But with this, he was really supportive of not only the song, but the female perspective and expression of sexuality. You know what I'm saying? And he was given a lot of examples of just society and musical examples. So with that said, I don't want to repeat some of the examples that he gave. Right. But as soon as I heard this, I was thinking in my mind, all of the songs that I grew up off of, and even the songs that some of my female cousins put me on to, like, you know what I mean? This might be on your panty draws mix or whatever you want to call that, right? Right. So first song that came to the top of my mind was Dive In by Trey Songz. You know what I'm saying? We're going to kind of go down this list here. We got Falsetto by The Dream. Let's take a trip down memory lane to Teddy Pendergrass, Turn Off the Lights. Turn them off. You know. Then we got P Poppin' by DTP. We already know what that is.
Oh yeah, remember that.
We're old enough to remember. We're old enough to remember BET After Dark, but that's another discussion. Then we got Spread by Outkast from the Love Below and that album, that double album. We got Deep by Blackstreet. We got Peaches and Cream by 112, our middle school jam, you feel me? Then we got Genuine, So Anxious. We got Play by David Banner. Now here we get to the heavyweights. We get to the heavyweights here. So we got Freaking You by Jodeci. We got Freaky Tales by Too Short. And the coup de grace, Slob on My Knob.
Right.
By Tear the Club Up, or 3-6, whoever you want to call it. Now, what were you going to say? Go ahead.
I'll stop you before. Now, I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. These songs should not be heard by children. They were not usually playing during times that children would listen to the radio.
Let's all agree. We all snuck to hear these songs.
Yeah, we snuck to these things. They were not supposed to be heard. So I wouldn't want Carter to hear Slob My Knob. I wouldn't want her to hear WAP. I don't want my son playing Grand Theft Auto. It's all explicit content. Children are here. Explicit content is for adults that can understand the difference between entertainment and what you should be doing in your real life.
Right.
So go ahead.
So with that, with that list that was specifically men, because I wanted to give that contrast, but a lot of the list as far as the explicit lyrics have come from women. Now, let's talk about why that is. When's the last time you saw a conscious woman, and you know what, let's get real specific. Let's talk about rap. There's been a lot of conscious women over the years, but right. How many of them went number one? How many of them's artistry was truly respected? You got people like, and I'm glad this woman's name is being mentioned because she is so talented. It's right. Rhapsody is dope. Rhapsody should have won Album of the Year, and they hated on it because they're not pushing her like they should, and it's not impossible. What they're pushing is what men are absorbing, and we're gonna have to accept that. A lot of this is willful ignorance. A lot of this is deeply rooted in the mindset of patriarchy. And I'm not saying that's an evil thing, but we need to recognize where that mindset is coming from, and then how that's being interpreted from the woman's perspective. We're in an age where women have freedom, and most of us respect that freedom. So if we truly do, and why is it different on wax? It really shouldn't be that way. I really don't get that. So every point that a lot of these conservative people are making, or even other artists, I heard CeeLo Green had something to say, and I was very surprised by that, especially with a lot of the now he is a conscious rapper, and I'm not going front. You know, they came from that perspective, but you did have that explicit side as well. And I understand these men have daughters. I understand these men have, young women in their lives that they want to protect, but it's not these artists' job. And it never has been for them to raise your children. That's your job to raise your children. So, that's just where I'm at with it, man.
But CeeLo had some crazy stuff to say about rape and, the victim being unconscious or not. And he has some sexual abuse allegations. So I want to hear from him. And to piggyback off what you said about women now have freedom, they should have always had freedom. Women are free people. They're human. And that's my point. A woman is just another Homo sapien. It's another human being. There is no difference in that woman's physiology other than the fact that she can produce life. So she needs things to produce and maintain life at an early stage in that life. There is no intelligence quotient or anything of that nature that makes them more valuable as a human being on the planet. Overall, they're not less intelligent than men. So we have no right to control them. So what's the conversation? What's the conversation really about? What's really going on? Why have women been allowed to do things or do what they can, and why have men did what they want? Men are physically stronger than women. Let's just lay it down. Men are physically stronger than women. And men did a lot. Human beings have did a lot of heinous things. But if you're a human being, and you're stronger than another human being, and you want something, there's no morals or ethics keeping you from doing it. you're more than likely going to take it, unless you're just a kind-hearted person. What is the one thing men cannot get on this earth without someone's help? Sex.
A baby. Well,
and
baby, sex, yeah.
Sex and a baby. Sex and a baby. And what have we done about it? Have we asked for it? No, we took it. We've taken it. That's what this is. Men cannot control sex, so they're controlling women to get sex. Period. Point blank. Women have not been stronger than us, and until recently in the United States, we have not even allowed them to vote, which is similar to, well, it's not even similar. It's the same as oppression here in America. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. I would. Like, I don't have much to say. I thought that some of the viewpoints that you may come from would be a little bit more rigid, but I mean that's very general and it's very reasonable. Like what we're talking about is having the propensity to look at yourself in the same light that you're looking at these women in. You know, like I will say this. I'm not going to say that I'm completely comfortable with everything in the video or all of the lyrics. And even if I was, it don't matter. What I'm saying is it's okay for them to have that artistic expression.
Right.
It's okay for that content to be within a certain space. And to be perfectly honest with everything that's going on in the world right now, the only reason we're talking about this, or the only reason the conservative world is talking about this, is because we don't have enough distractions like we always do.
Okay. Good. Okay. Call it out. Call it out.
That's really what it is. So one of the songs that's going to become the number one just so happens to be provocative and just so happens to be very unapologetic. And when is America's conservative sector ever been supportive of somebody being unapologetic about anything?
Unapologetically in opposition of the society in place. So the parallel.
Well, yeah, you're right. Just expressing yourself, because people that have the same viewpoint that are expressing themselves aggressively, they don't say nothing about either.
What's the parallel to oppression? You might ask, what's really going on? Okay, there was literature. We were taught Christianity here, and they used Christianity to legitimize keeping us as slaves or having us in bondage. There were a lot of folklore. There were a lot of just false stories or schemas or stereotypes about African people, and they use that as leverage to keep us enslaved. We're savages. We can't think for ourselves. We have oversized penises and we're over-sexualized, and they have to protect their women from us, and so on and so forth. We practice witchcraft, and we're all going to go to hell, and we're heathens and all that stuff. Oh yeah, well, we should control them. What did they say in the very beginning? Oh yeah, she messed up. She listened to the devil. She ate that fruit, and we all messed up because of it. They cannot be trusted. They're too emotional. So we need to design a system, to keep them in check. She should be in the kitchen cooking. I should be doing this. Last time I checked at my job, there's a lot of women get paid close to $100,000 a year, and I don't see a lot of men in there. I already know that a lot of them are getting paid more than their husbands or their counterparts in there. They are not less intelligent human beings than us. You were told by almost every religion that they did something wrong, or that their responsibility on this earth is something beneath us, and that they should serve us, and you've used that to control them. Anytime you get upset, anytime it's not working for you, anytime you're not getting what you want from a woman, you go back to, well, if they were doing this could be easier for me. Not that you should adjust and make things easier for yourself, or not even easier for yourself. Why should it be easy for you to get something from a woman? It's not her responsibility to make your life easier. It is not her responsibility to make your life easier. She is another human being. If you saw another man on the street, you would not think of that man as a person responsible for making your life easier. But for some reason, out of all the things we disagree with in these books, one of the few things we do agree with in these books are that women are inferior to men. You might not see or say the word inferior, but the fact that you're teaching your daughter that she can only do X, Y, and Z because she's not a man is saying she's inferior. She's incapable of doing certain things or making certain choices. Now, is she physically weaker than certain boys at her age? Yeah. So you need to adapt to that and have that conversation, that real conversation. You have two different human beings. There's weight classes in boxing, but you won't say the welterweight champion is less legitimate than the 160-pound champion. You might have preferences. But you're not going to say one is less viable. You're not going to say a man that's shorter than most men can't go and hang around tall guys because they're taller and bigger than him. You're not going to say that. You're not going to say that. So just because a woman is physically less able maybe to lift something, which she can't probably adjust, because she can't do some things that a man can do, some men can do anyway, because you're not going to say all men can do these things. All of a sudden she's inferior. She can't get paid the same wage. She can't have the same things. She can't have the same, leverage in negotiations or in her household because of that. Because that's what you've been doing. That's what we have been doing. It took me. Now, I'm not gonna say, I'm just righteous and I've known this my whole life and I've been treating women as if they were equal to me my whole life. I've been taught that they were inferior. I've been taught that my sisters were inferior to me. I was allowed to do a lot more than them. I was trusted with a lot more. It takes two people to get pregnant, but I was allowed to take more risks to get a woman pregnant than a woman was, than my sisters were. It's both our responsibilities. They weren't allowed to hang with certain people, even if they were in groups. They were not allowed to go to certain places. They're not allowed to play with certain toys or stay up as late. For some reason, all of the stimuli in society made them more susceptible to promiscuity than me. I'm looking at the same things. I'm having more sex than them. Because society, my mom, my dad, everybody around me told me, you're allowed to do that. I trust you, Gregory. I trust you, Gregory. And it wasn't until I had my daughter and I'm looking at her and she has an older brother. She wants to run outside with him just as fast. She wants to jump just as high. She wants to climb up ladders that are just as tall. She wants to talk just as fast. She wants to ride in the same, places in the car. She wants to see the same things on TV. And I asked myself, why wouldn't I let her? If I let my boy do certain things at that age, why wouldn't I let her? I left society out the picture. And then I thought about her mother. And I thought about her mother being treated that way. And the cycle just revealed itself. It's like I saw a light, or I saw my whole life, or a woman's life flash before my eyes. And I'm like, damn, what have we done? And how long have we done it? Forever. For as long as I've known, for as long as written language has been written down, at least, or recorded, at least. We, as men, not just as Black men, we have treated women like slaves, like chattel. We have oppressed them. And we still do it to this day. We do what we want. We teach women to do what they can. We don't teach women to go for any goal they want. We tell them to go for the goal that men will allow them to. Right. If they want money, get as much money as a man will allow you to get. If you sell your body, you selling it because men like your body and they willing to give you money for it. You can sell a man's body, but you ain't taught to do that. Sell your body. And there's nothing against their song. But what you're doing is you're adapting to the oppression that you're used to. It has been normalized.
Right.
Oppression against Black people has been normalized. And I wanna get back to you on this after transition this. I relate my feeling of my awakening to that as a man, how much I have oppressed women, how much I've allowed oppression to happen around me, to our white allies realizing, like really soaking in how much white America or society as a whole, or Europeans or whatever, the world has oppressed Black people, and how much they let it continue and fester, and how messed up they feel, how horrible they feel as human beings that consider themselves good people. It's a horrible feeling, but you got to acknowledge that first to get to the next step of correcting it.
Right. So I'm not disagreeing with nothing you said, but
right.
what you said connects me to one of our videos that we did before. And it's really just going into what we expect. You know what? Scratch that. I want to stick more direct to the point. Above all, well, not even above all, a major point is it's okay to disagree with this viewpoint if that's what you own.
Disagree.
Now, what we need to get back to, and I'm gonna talk to the audience, and I'm also ask you this question. Do you remember when we were little and nobody knew who anybody was voting for? Like, it wasn't a type of discussion where it was.
Oh, we kept it to ourselves?
Right. To be quite honest, there was a lot more communication between parties that were far apart. You saw liberal Black people having conversations with super conservative white people because the intricacies of what they believed weren't really talked about. And when they were talked about, since it was taboo to even go to that point, it was handled with a lot of care and consideration because it wasn't something that was, necessarily normalized. With that said, we need to get back to that place. It's okay to disagree with somebody else's viewpoint, but it's not okay not to entertain any conversation about it, judge people, or above else, try to control what somebody else is doing, and specifically to this point, trying to control what a woman is doing, especially if you accept where we are in society. If that is true, then you got to let go of what you want to control. Now, if you want to have this discussion, let's get down to the nitty gritty. If we want to talk about what you want these women to say, then we're going to have to talk about censorship. We're going to have to talk about what we present to the world, period. Now, that's going to lend itself to the V for Vendetta type stuff. So we really need to understand what type of Pandora's box we're opening up when we ignore what they're saying and we ignore what their expression is.
You want to censor them? Get ready to censor yourself. You want to censor them? Get ready to censor yourself. And I mean in all accords. Don't tell me a woman can't do X, Y, and Z and tell me you can have 7 wives. Who said she agreed with that? If you told her to shut up and she can't even speak up for herself, who knows if she disagreed? Don't give me that. Don't give me some whole bunch of stuff they're not supposed to do. And then you give me all these pluses we're going to have on our end. If you want to censor, bring them to the room. Bring just as many of them in the room and see what they got to say about your censorship. See what they got to say, what you got to do and what you can't do. After the whole history of all time considered in their bullet points of what they may not want us to do, I don't know if you'll be allowed to breathe, brother. To be quite honest, some executives in the organization I'm in at my job got a seat at the table recently at our job, and they were well organized, they were well prepared because they knew that this was a great opportunity that we had to take advantage of, more or less. And even after all the thought, all the passion that they brought into that meeting, leadership within the organization still said, is that all? I was expecting a little bit more, because they're taking into account being an organization that has to look at analytics, look at all the data. If they're doing their job right, they had to look at all accounts of transgressions that have happened to the people that are presenting their argument to them. If they're
hold
up. They had to take into account.
No, I'm breaking it down in my head. You basically just said they went to the analytics on racism.
Right. They went to analytics on racism. They went to analytics on racism.
Okay.
And they pretty much backed it, put the hand up like, so you don't want to do the same thing we did to y'all? That's it? Okay. Let's get the ball rolling. And honestly, being a rationally thinking person at this point, executive board, they're saying, we're still willing to do more because you deserve more. Sorry, this has happened so far. Let's get moving. If you brought women to the table after all the stuff we've done, to that table where you have to equally divide things, and we talk about censorship and things of that nature, you ain't ready for that, brother. You ain't ready for that. That is going to happen. That is going to happen. But as far as addressing the oppression that still takes place today, that we are controlling everything they think and do and are able to respond. And what I mean by controlling what they think and do, I'm saying we start the catalyst that they respond to. They're coming on shows or networks that men own, talking about content that we have brought up. Now, when a woman owns the network and brings in the shows and brings in the executives, or does deals with the executives, and those executives hire women and all that stuff, and all of them are in accord, then you may have one piece in the big puzzle where a woman controls everything from top to bottom. But that, I don't know if that situation.
I would say the old network would be the closest thing to it.
If that's in a partnership or ownership from somebody else?
Nah. Oprah own that.
Right. But she's competing with other ones in a country that's controlled by men. So she has to go by our economic practices. So still. So
the only reason she was able to do that is because she knew she had the biggest stronghold on, I guess, female media consumption.
Right. And that's a whole different conversation or paradigm. So, okay, I talked all this stuff. We addressed the problem. How do we fix it? I can't fix it in a day. In my house, I'm struggling every single day to break all of the tendencies and the biases I have over women, or in thought of women, or men versus women. And I have to listen to my daughter, and I have to listen to my fiance on a daily basis. We have conversations, but I try my best to treat those conversations like one equal adult talking to another. One person's point being just as valid as another, no matter where that comes from. Whether it comes from hurt, whether it comes from just a calm state of being, whether it comes from a reaction to something I did wrong, or a reaction to something I did right, wherever it comes from, I'm taking that into consideration as just as much as I take my thought in consideration. And I start there before we take any action, or I try to. I'm going to make mistakes, and she equally, as another human being, is going to make mistakes. But I'm going to respect this union of two people saying, I agree to be around you and raise this child with you. That's it. There's no contract. There is a agreement verbally. And I can break that agreement, and she can make a decision to do whatever she wants. And I can do the same thing. There will be consequences, but she has that right just as much as I do. So long story short, it's hard. And I don't have all the answers. I suggest that you men, you boys, you start listening to all these women, your daughter, your sister, the girl you saw walking down the street, your mother, your aunt, your grandmother, daughters that are coming in the future, the woman that owns this place, the woman at the counter, every woman in the world, and will be, and in the past, just like you listen to these men. And what do I mean by just like you listen to these men? Every time you think of an interaction with a man, you think of a pro-con. You size them up. You think of consequences, whether it's monetarily, whether it's physically. You say to yourself, I cannot do what I want without some consequence. You don't think about that with a woman all the time. You don't think about the same consequences. If that's the only way you can get to a place where you can put yourself with equal footing, you need to at least do that first. Acknowledge that you are doing certain things that are wrong, and there will be consequences as a result. And they will affect women a lot. If you care about them, think about those things, start from there and say, I need to correct this, starting with myself today. And as far as relationships are concerned, I think me and Jay, we need to have a show, and it's gonna be a hard show where we have two women sitting with us and we discuss the structure of relationship, the structure, our patriarchy. We discuss all this and talk about what is a healthy relationship between a man and a woman, because we are men and we like women. We're attracted to women.
Once again, to recap, it is okay to have a difference in opinion. If you wanna have these types of discussions, don't act holier than thou. Don't try to control what is happening. Both sides come to it with an open mind, because both of us are coming to it really in ignorance, because we don't know what each other is thinking. We really don't. And so, and both of us are thinking from a perspective of being programmed as well. There's things that we haven't even thought about that women are dealing with, and vice versa. So, you know, if you want to get into this, it's going to have to be a lengthy discussion. It's going to have to be one that requires some action at the end of it. And man, like, I just want to get to the point where we can have discussions again and not just argue all the time off that was sparked by like a troll or something. Like, I just want real interaction, bro. Right. This really all started from trolls, and then somebody important took it over. That's really what happened.
Right. Yeah, so. Good, man. This is a tough conversation. We're gonna leave it here today. Soon we'll be doing that video with some female counterparts and having this discussion. But that's
matter of fact.
Go ahead.
With that said, if you in our city, we don't even need to say what city that is. If you in our city and you want to be one of those two women, you know the inbox. So hit us up. You know the comments. You know. So.
Okay.
Comment, subscribe. Let us know what you're thinking. Let us know if you want to come on the show. Holler at us.
Bet. So with that, we'll close it out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this. We want this one shared because we want a lot of feedback. We want this conversation to be had, and we want some progress, because it's getting real hairy out here. And now we have a woman in the run for vice president. You know, this conversation is even more important. Whether we disagree with her politics or not, we got to talk about, you know, some morals and ethics around respect. But yeah, we out.
Let's see. In closing, this is just a PS. Let's see how much we can affect the world from that female perspective by the time either I have a daughter or your daughter is grown. Let's see how much we can, you know, knock the world off its own tilt, so to speak.
Got you. One.